Now, your host, Jennifer Fierro and Ben Shields.
It's the season debut of the Coach Todd Dodge Show. So glad to have Coach with us for the second year, and we're in the wonderful studio. Thank you so much, Coach, for coming in this evening. And I know you came right off the practice field. First off, how have things been going the first 2.5 weeks of practice? You know, you've had the off season, had your performance course, and now the guys have been back on the field.
Well, it's been good. Our players, probably about 75% of the guys that are working with us day in and day out were very strong participants in our summer conditioning program with David Granson in performance course. You know, that allows us to start working football on the first day rather than trying to get them in shape once they get here. They've got to be in good shape, you know, once they get here. Obviously, with our tempo of offense and our tempo of defense, you know, we've got it doesn't take the entire responsibility off the coaching staff. We've got to continue to work our kids at a great pace during practice so that they're ready for game time, you know, situations and the game time rigors of conditioning. You know, the best test we've had so far obviously was last Friday night against Brownwood, and you know, our players and our coaches were looking forward to getting somebody else in front of us. You know, after banging heads all spring long, we had 15 great practices in the spring game in last May, and then all during fall camp going against each other. It's always nice to get someone else in front of us. And as a head coach, you're always, you know, you're always interested to see how they're going to react when the competition level has raised itself. And I was pleased from that aspect from last Friday night.
And going into year two, have you seen them retain the stuff from last year and improve upon it? Absolutely.
You know, they're, you know, offensively, you know, we kind of forced ourselves to be young in our skill position players. You know, as you go into a new program, you kind of take inventory of what will be around for the first 2 years. And if you can, as a head coach, you try to develop some depth, some experience on at least one side of the ball or the other. You know, last year we pretty much put all the seniors on defense and kept a lot of juniors, at least skill position-wise, on offense. And so that's where, you know, our experience comes. Defensively, we got a lot of new faces, but, you know, they're executing our new defense, you know, fine right now. You know, as we went through fall practice, I would say our defense before the Brownwood scrimmage, our defense was farther ahead than our offense. You know, it was really tough for us offensively to move the ball day in and day out. And even though I'm a guy that's involved strongly with the offense, I love seeing our defense step it up the way they have, and because that's, you know, that's the reason I brought Tony Salazar in here, and he is such a tremendous leader on the defensive side of the ball. Great relationships with our players and with our coaching staff on that side of the ball.
Coach, I know that there's a rhythm to the air raid offense. Tell me how the boys have adapted to that, especially with the new offensive line and the new quarterback.
Well, offensive line is one that when we line up on Friday night against LaGrange, it'll be the first start for every single one of them. You know, that's part of high school football. You can't keep them around forever. You know, they you know, there's something called graduation. You know, and so we're excited about this young bunch. You know, in the first time that they got to go against somebody else, they did fine. Some mistakes, but they gave great effort. You know, you know, one of the things that people overlook is when you're in a shotgun offense, you want to make sure that your center's accurate. You know, and I thought that Sam Kahutek, our junior center, did a nice job. You know, the leadership. You know, we've got two seniors on our offensive line, in Hunter Dooley and Chase Fry. And, you know, I really think those two guys are showing really nice leadership. Hunter a little bit vocally, and he's not a guy that's done that in the past, but he's a senior now and he's stepping up. And then Chase, you know, Chase is a very powerful man. He's a big dude, and he's more of a, you know, a road grader kind of effort kind of guy that leads by example.
You talk about the 5 new linemen. How steep is the learning curve for offensive linemen?
Well, you know, it is huge because, you the speed of the game, and you hear that in our industry a lot, that it's constantly speed of the game, it's going up. All of these guys have played JV football, they played varsity football in spring ball, they played varsity football in a scrimmage and in practice. But when the lights come on Friday night, that speed's going to be a little bit more, and the adrenaline's going to be flowing, and making the adjustments. So far, it's been good. We understand that as a coaching staff, you kind of have to get them through that. The one thing we tell all of our players, and kind of echo it to our offensive line, is it's okay to make a mistake every once in a while. Just don't make the same mistake twice. And that's the thing, that when we have a team that's doing that, you see yourself getting more and more focused.
We're getting started with the Coach Todd Dodge Show. We've got more to talk about. We're going to talk about last week's scrimmage against the Brownwood Lions. And, of course, we'll take a look forward to the Grange Leopards, this week's opponent here in Week 0. So it is the Coach Dodge Show on KBEY 103.9 and on Northland Channel 15. So thank you for tuning in to TV as well. The Marble Falls Mustangs, they travel to Brownwood to take on the Lions in their scrimmage, the only scrimmage here in 2013. Of course, when you have spring practice, that means you start a week later, so you get one scrimmage in. Coach, your opening thoughts on the game against the Lions?
Well, there's certain goals that you have going into something like that from an offensive standpoint. One of my main goals as a head coach is to get some confidence from a young quarterback and to get him some success. And it's one of those deals that, in our passing game, I really felt like, as we've gone through camp, we're a little bit behind in our base passing game. A lot of that has to do with going against our own defense day in and day out. But I really wanted to execute in the passing game. Keith Jerome, I know what Keith can do. Keith was a little banged up, nothing that would hold him out of the game, so I really didn't want to run him that much, and so wanted to see how the young offensive line could set a solid wall in protection, and then how the young quarterback could play catch. And I'm really pleased, overall. Brennan, we threw it 35 times. He completed 27 for, well over 370 yards, and I think 5 touchdowns in the entire scrimmage, controlled and game situation. I really was pleased with the way KJ ran the ball when we asked him to. I was pleased with the way that we spread the ball around. And I was really pleased, and this sounds crazy, that we did make our share of mistakes. And so we are so far away from where we need to be and are going to be. We're not even close to where we can be. But we were able to get some of these young players, some confidence, feeling good about themselves going into our first contest. Defensively, I felt like, we're not where we need to be tackling, but we're so much better than we were this time last year. We got some young men that are flying around. They're being coachable. They're executing what we do. I thought take away a couple of plays in the entire scrimmage and game situation. We held up pretty good against a team that's got a really good returning quarterback, a 1,200-yard rusher, several 50-plus catch wide receivers. And so, they had offensively, they had the same type of, really setup that we did. They got a lot of returning guys.
All right, Coach, so you talked about Brennan. What's the biggest improvement you've seen from the spring to now?
Well, he's doing a really nice job as a young, sophomore quarterback on executing our no-huddle offense, being vocal, being a leader, being great body language. That's something that that's so important, for a quarterback. Brennan makes mistakes, and I tell him, when you make a mistake, don't let him see you sweat. The thing about a quarterback is he touches the football 100% of offensive snaps. So he's got a great opportunity to make plays, and he's got a great opportunity to make mistakes. So, those are going to come. Brennan has been a guy that doesn't get down on himself when he does make a mistake. He doesn't get too full of himself when he makes plays. He just come, right back. And he's getting our guys lined up. We're playing pretty fast right now, and that's probably the best thing that he's doing.
Still trying to average 80 plays a game, Coach?
We would like, the norm is 67 for high school football, and we'd like to, there's going to be some games that, the flow of the game is going to possibly get us away from that. But we want to play very fast. We want to play very efficient. Like I tell our players, we don't want to hurry up to mess up. We want to hurry up to be efficient. And our players understand that the most important down for us is first down and being effective and getting the tempo going. And that's one of the things we were able to do in the scrimmage the other night.
Now, does that help your defense playing that fast a pace in practice? How does that help your defense?
Well, our defense is going to face teams like that. In 2013, there's a lot of teams that have adopted the spread tempo offense, and so a lot of people play fast, and so that helps our defense out. One of the things we go through camp and we go through spring ball, we don't always tempo our defense. We make sure that that we're sound and lining up and those kind of things. But just the fact of conditioning, yes, it helps everybody.
One thing that I noticed is your new kicker, Alejandro Sonio, seemed like he was perfect in every extra point and then the one field goal attempt. Can you talk about that kind of hidden gem that you have going into 13?
Well, all of the programs that I've coached through the years, we have used our soccer program to recruit kickers. All through the years at South Lake, we had Garrett Hartley, who was a 4-year starter on the soccer team and a 3-year starter for us, and the next one was on the soccer team. Everyone that we ever had was on the soccer team, and they came out, and so Alejandro came off the soccer team, and he'll be a senior. And about midway through spring, he showed up, and he's got a real live leg. He doesn't know a whole lot about football, the American football, but he really has a strong leg. He's an athletic guy, really an athletic guy. And from what we did the other night, of course, everything was kind of mocked up, and there wasn't a whole lot of rush. But you gotta walk before you run and that kind of stuff. And he did a nice job of doing what we asked him to do.
And we saw his leg at the spring game as well, nailing a 40-plus yard field goal. Again, it is the Coach Todd Dodge Show here on KBEY 103.9 and also Northland Channel 15. So great to have them aboard. We'll be on Northland Channel 15 all season long. Coming up, we're going to talk about the LaGrange Leopards. As the Mustangs, they'll be traveling to LaGrange here in a couple days. Look forward to talking about that and much more. The season gets underway against the LaGrange Leopards on the road, so the Mustangs will travel down Highway 71. And Coach, LaGrange Leopards, you defeated them 56-36 last year. Coach Cates, what do you expect from his ball club this year?
Well, a bunch of them are back. After we played them in week 1 last year and had a real shootout with them here at Mustang Stadium, they won. They reeled off, I believe, 8 in a row. After that, won their district. They played El Campo in the first round of playoffs, which anybody who follows 3A football knows El Campo went all the way to state championship game. Got beat by Stephenville. So Coach Cates is doing a fantastic job. Last year was his second year of the program. Obviously, year 3. I know that they've got very, very high aspirations of what that football team can do this year. In some publications, they're ranked as high as number 11 in the state in Class 3A. And so we've got our work cut out for us. As I said, there's 7 returning starters on offense, 7 on defense.
And, of course, both teams do have Division I commitments. You've got Zach Legwood for LaGrange. He's going to A&M. And then for the Mustangs, you've got Garrett Gray going to Texas. So that should be an interesting sidebar at the game, too.
Well, the big number 70, Ledwig, was recruited by pretty much everybody in the country, and as Garrett was. And he chose the Aggies. And, the thing that sticks out to me is he is a very large human being that can really, really move his feet. He plays their quick side tackle. They flip their offensive line, so he's always going to be at the tackle, most of the time opposite the tight end. Played quite a bit of defense. As we look back at our video from last year, he played quite a bit of defense against us last year, but he's an outstanding player.
His feet, is that the main thing that stands out to you, or is it his ability to get out and run and block and push people off the line? Well,
he's the prototypical offensive tackle for today's spread. You got to have tremendous size. He's 6'5", 285 pounds now. He'll be a 300-pounder, by the time he gets to college. But he's really athletic, and that's the thing that. I don't know, ultimately if, at the next level, at the college level, he'll play left or right tackle, but, he's surely athletic enough to play that left tackle in an offense that throws the ball a bunch and is going to run the spread. And A&M obviously does.
Again, you're talking about with the defense facing the spread and the offense, at least they'll know what to expect coming into the opening game. Now, how much does jitters play for the young guys? Like for Brennan Wooten getting his first start, how do you work around those jitters?
No, you understand that you embrace it. You talk about it. You tell him that, like I told our players just as it came off the practice field today, as we go into practice tomorrow, we want to prepare. We want to have a great day tomorrow. Probably the most important day of the week is Wednesday, and then Thursday becomes very focused. We want to be a team that's going into that game at about 7 o'clock on Friday night. It's kind of like taking a test in school. When you've studied for it, you can't wait for the teacher to put the test on your desk. You're ready to take it. We want that kind of attitude, that kind of feeling. I expect my young quarterback and my team to be nervous. If they're not, they're probably not competitors, but it'd be a good kind of competitive nervousness. Always early in the season when you've got a young quarterback or you've got a young football team in certain areas, you kind of manage them, as a coach as we get into the game and you get them into the flow. And normally after about 2 or 3 plays that real nervousness is over with. Well,
now you also have your skill position players, your seniors, already have that experience. Can you talk a little bit about the weapons around Brennan and how hopefully those guys will help him settle in?
Well, as I've told Brennan, all you need to do is be a distributor of the football, and that's what on any football team is to be a guy who's accurate. In our system, we're going to ask our quarterback to complete somewhere between 67 and 70% of his passes, and that's a lofty goal. It's something that's happened every year in this offense through the years, but it's something that's asking a lot. So we put a real premium on being accurate during practice, and he was in our first little test the other night against Brownwood. But we have over 200 catches coming back from the 2012 season. That's the most I've ever had as a head coach, that much production coming back from any team. And we've got a 900-yard rusher, and then a running back who caught maybe 30 balls last year. So, there's definitely some skill weapons and some experience around him. And I tell Brennan, you don't have to take the weight of the city of Marble Falls on your shoulder and think you've got to be, a guy that's going to go win it by yourself. You just need to execute the offense, and he knows that.
Most young quarterbacks, they don't get experience like they're at the skill positions like he has.
Well, it's a definite blessing for our football team. Obviously, with a young quarterback, you would hope that somewhere around him there would be experience. This happens to be this year as we start Brennan, that it's experience in the skill players. We don't have a whole lot of experience in the offensive line, but we do. And the thing about it is that, our players expect to step up and play. As I said before, you can't keep guys around forever. You got to put some new ones in there. That's why you have a system. That's why you play a JV team. That's why you get the guys ready during the off season. That's why you have spring football practice. And that's why you have fall camp, is to get those guys ready to compete at a very high level.
It is the Coach Todd Dodge Show here on KBEY 103.9 and Northland Channel 15. Thank you so much for tuning in on Northland Channel 15. We'll wrap up the Coach Todd Dodge Show. We'll talk about some of the newcomers we can expect for the Mustangs and much more. We're wrapping up the debut show here on KBEY 103.9 and Northland Channel 15. And, Coach, we talked about some of the veteran players, and we talked about Brennan. Who are some of the other newcomers that we can expect to make some noise?
Well, on the offensive side of the ball, I think I mentioned earlier, Sam Kahutek is our center. And Sam is a guy that when I first got here, that first winter in February, kind of tabbed him and is a guy that would be our center. He looked like it. He had played it a little bit as a freshman, and he's doing a great job. Really looking for big things from him. Zuri Buchanan played on our varsity last year. We moved him from running back to slot receiver. Zuri's going to be a real added weapon to us on the offensive side of the ball. On the defensive side of the ball, as far as newcomers, I think a guy that really had an outstanding scrimmage against Brownwood is a guy named Travis Dilworth. He's a junior linebacker, did a really nice job. A name that is familiar but is really starting to come into his own, Stephen Petrosky. He's a senior safety that really did a great job. We're getting really nice production out of Jason Lenore. Jason is a young man that moved to us last year, has not played a whole lot of football, played on our JV last year as a senior defensive end. Of course, probably the leader in the secondary is our most veteran player, and that's Cody Seelig. And Cody, is really an athletic guy and does a nice job at our field corner.
Yeah, he definitely came on strong last year as the year went along in the defensive backfield.
Yes, he did. He's making plays. Him and Garrett Gray battle every day, and he's making Garrett better, and obviously Garrett's making him better.
Coach, when you think about the upcoming season, and just give us a little bit of a preview here, who are some of the teams or opponents that stand out for you that you can't wait to just face?
Well, I'll give a little coach speak right now. We don't look, forward to anything, but, I think everybody who follows District 25 4A knows that it's the toughest 4A league in the state of Texas, and I think that's proofs in the pudding, so to speak. There's a state champion coming back. There's a state semifinalist coming back, and then there's a couple other teams with Leander, who was upset on a Hail Mary in the third round of the playoffs last year. So we got 2 teams in our league that are ranked in the top 10 in the state. And I tell our team all the time, I wouldn't want it any other way. I'm glad that we play in a really tough district because it makes us have to raise the bar. Right now, we're excited. We're going to have our hands full with one of the top 3A teams in the state of Texas with Grange. Obviously, our non-district schedule. The second week we host Smithville for our home opener. Then we go to Burnett. For the great rivalry there, and then we host Bernie Champion. So those are our 4 non-district games, and we have an off week. We go to Cedar Park and face the defending state champion Cedar Park Timberwolves, and then get right into the meat of our league. Bottom line is, as you go through the journey, in District 25 4A, you're going to have to win probably 3 games to get yourself in the hunt. And our goal is to get one of those 4 playoff spots and to be practicing on Thanksgiving morning. That's the goal of this football team, and we don't mind saying it. That's where we want to be, and see how many wins that's going to take us to get it and get into some late November and December football.
Coach, I wanted to ask you real quick. We've talked about Garrett and his recruitment to the University of Texas. I hear that Keith Jerome was able to go to the University of Houston over the weekend. Can you talk about his recruitment process and how that's going?
Well, Keith, there were a whole lot of college, guys that came through in spring to see Garrett. I mean, there was someone from everywhere, 2 or 3 of them every day. And that always helped through the years as a head coach. Anytime you've got one that's getting highly recruited, that's good for everybody. That's good for the players that are going to be seniors that have the ability, and Keith Jerome definitely has the ability to play at the next level. He's gotten quite a bit of, attention from San Diego State, from Louisiana Tech, and from the University of Houston, among others. And I definitely think he's going to be a guy that people are going to want to continue to evaluate during his senior year. But that all of that traffic, so to speak, through here in the spring was good, and it's good for our younger players. You've got guys that are young, and when a college guy comes to watch spring ball, he's not just watching one guy. He's watching practice, and sometimes young players will catch the eye of college guys and get on somebody's radar.
Coach, one more question, and as much as you can say, I did want to ask you about your backup quarterback. I know that you have your annual coaches school throughout February, but as much as you can tell us your plan for the backup quarterback, please.
Well, as we go in, we lost Carson Bowen to a knee injury. He'll be out about 4 or 5 weeks. Hopefully that's all. We've got a couple of young guys on the JV that are really, that worked each and every day. And one of those 2 will probably make active for Friday night. But we've got a guy named Cullen Vaught that's on our team, and Cullen is a guy that's working at safety. He's also played a little quarterback in his past. And so, we're kind of giving him a crash course right now. I don't think that Cullen would be ready to step in on week 1, but as we go through the time that we're going to be without Carson, Cullen Vaught is a guy that we're going to train, and give him a certain package to get him ready to be our backup quarterback in the absence of Carson Bowen.
Well, that'll about do it for the Coach Todd Dodge Show here on KBEY 103.9, Texas Best Country, and Northland Channel 15. Thank you so much for tuning in. We invite you to come on out here to the studio each and every Tuesday and join in the fun with Coach Dodge, ask some questions. So we invite you to come on out. And next week, we'll break down this LaGrange ball game. We look forward to the Smithville Tigers. Coach, as always, thank you so much. We look forward to another year.
Ben, Jennifer, thank you all so much for having me on. I appreciate it.